Get a lot of B's. Almost all the B's. Okay. 5B says write the point slope form. That was one direction, right, in this problem, of the line satisfying the given conditions, then use the point slope form of the equation to write the slope intercept form. So it told me to write two different things, which means in my answer, I need those two different things. Once you're done solving the problem, square it, put PS next to it. Do whatever you have to do to be like, these were my two answers that I was supposed to put, right? Okay, so let me go ahead and write. Okay, so it tells me that it's passing through these 2 points, right? My 5B says it's passing through 2, 4, and 3, 6. Looking at my directions, it told me to write the point slope form. Point slope form quite literally means I have a point, 1 point, right? So my little subscripts, there's only a 1. There's no 2 because I have 1 point. Point slope, okay? So that also means that there's a slope in the formula. The only formula that has the subscript being 1 and a slope included into it is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Y'all, that xy sub 1's right here, that's telling me that I have 1 point. My m is telling me that I need the slope to use this formula. So that's why this one is called the point slope form, okay? It also tells me once I get to this part and I get this solved, I can use this to solve for the equation of the line, which is the exact same thing as saying to write it in slope intercept form. This is a slope, right? Your m, and then your b is your y-intercept. So that's slope intercept form. Okay, so in order to start the problem, the first thing it told me to write was this one, right? But I need a slope. Do I have a slope? Was I given a slope? I wasn't given a slope. So literally second verse, same as the first, right? The exact problem we just did, we found a slope. We use that same process to find this slope, and then we can solve the rest of the problem. So if I actually go ahead and label these x1, y1, x2, y2, let me find my slope first, and then I can do this. Y2 is 6 minus 4 over x2 is 3 minus 2. I get what? 2 over 1, which is 2. 6, 4, 2, 3, 2, 1. So my slope is 2. I kind of had to solve that real fast so that now I have a slope. And I'm going to tell you right now, in the formula, the little subscript is a 1. So the point I'm going to use matches that same notation because I don't want to confuse myself and use this one. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to use this one. So I'm actually going to plug now, y'all, into, y'all tell me when I'm all crazy and wonky. I'm actually going to plug now this slope and this point into this formula because that was the first chunk of that problem I needed to solve. So this y with no subscript is just a variable y. You just write y. Then the formula says that there's a minus sign, and then I write my y1, which is 4, equals my m. I had to use both points to solve my m, which was 2. Open parentheses, do x minus x1. So x minus my x1 is 2. Close. Y'all, if you get to this point in a problem like this on the exam, and you've got a lot of like negative parenthesis negatives, simplify that. You know what I mean? Like actually do the math needed, and then that'll be your final answer. But if you notice here, there's none of that, is there? It's just a -4 and a -2. So this is your point slope form. Now, literally, the directions say use this form to actually write the equation of the line, right? So it's even giving you even more hints. You can't just write the equation of a line without doing this. So it's letting you know the whole process you need to even get all the points on this problem that are possible, right? So in order to get my slope of a line, why did I say that? In order to get my equation of a line, this says y equals. Y equals means I solve for y. So I'm going to use this and solve for y. The first thing you need to notice, y'all, is a number touching that parenthesis. Y negative 4, 2x minus 4. Not done. Need to get rid of that 4, right? So if I do the inverse, that would be a positive 4. If you add 4 to both sides, I get y equals 2x. So now that I've kind of finished the problem, I can go back and I'm going to go and square some stuff, okay? Personally, I don't want to keep working on it once I square it. So that's why I wait to the very end. So that first one was my point slope form. This is my slope intercept form. It's okay, right? It kind of looks a little bit different. The fact that it's not a plus something, because it should be in this form. But if there is nothing there, it's just saying that your y-intercept is 0. This is still okay. If you wanted to add 0, that's also okay. It doesn't change the equation any mathematically. So it's still the same answer, right? So these would be your two answers to that problem. You just have to find your slope first because it didn't give it to you. Does that make sense, y'all? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, so that was 5. Let's do 6B. Okay, so here's another hint, y'all. On the exam, if you see a problem and there is an actual graph with that problem, that means you have to graph something. I know that sounds really simple, but you would be surprised. There will be a graph there, and people might do some of the work, but they won't actually graph a line. It's actually saying, use this graph, because not all of them have it, right? So if a problem has a graph, I expect you to plot points and graph it. This is an example of a problem like that, okay? For 6B, told y'all, unconsciously, I love it. I was fixing to say the number B. I love the number B. It's my favorite. It's my favorite number. Okay, it says 5x negative 3y positive 15 equals 0. 5x negative 3y, I've got a positive 15 equals 0. The directions even say use intercepts to graph the equation, right? So you do not ever have to worry about you needing to graph and you not having what you need to graph and having to draw it yourself. If there's a little graph there, you're supposed to graph, okay? So in order for me to find my x and my y intercepts, I need to kind of think back to a few weeks ago whenever we learned that in order for it to be an x intercept, y needed to be 0 and vice versa. For it to be a y-intercept, my x needed to be 0, right? So I'm going to use those facts and kind of manipulate this equation to get my points so that I can draw this line. What I want to do first is put it into a certain order. My x and my y's, I want to leave on one side. This just constant, this positive 15, I want to move it. So what I would actually have is 5x minus 3y equal a negative 15. This is what I want to work with, okay? Don't get me wrong. Y'all could do this, but then it kind of adds a step or two and it just gets confusing. Move it first. Keep your x's and your y's on one side. Move your constant. Now, like I said, quite literally, to find my x-intercept, my y equals 0. Those are facts that I'm using. So what I'm going to do is use this equation right here with these facts and solve. So if I do 5x minus 3y equals negative 15 with these facts, the main thing right here is that my y equals 0, right? So I actually get 5x minus 3 times 0, right? Because y equals 0. I'm rewriting it. Y equals 0 equals negative 15. So continuing, I get 5x. That went away, right? And then I have a negative 15 over here on the right-hand side. Continue to solve for my x. I would divide both sides by 5, right? And I would get x equals negative 3. So do y'all see how I'm using this right? So that I can find my points. Here I have an x equals -3 and I have a y equals 0. So literally my point is -3, 0. This is what I graph. I found that my x equals -3 because I'm the one who manipulated this and made my y 0. So that's how I know that this is my point. And you would just go -1, -2, -3. I'm about right there. Literally, y'all, same exact thing, but now I'm going to do my y-intercept, which means my x equals 0. So I'm going to write the equation, but now x is 0, not y, right? So 5 times 0 minus 3y equals -15. Those went away. -3y equals a -15. Y equals 5. So I have my y and I have my x, which means I have my point 0, 5. That's my point for my y-intercept. So I don't go anywhere on my x, and I go up 5 on my y, and then I draw a line through them. Does that make sense? In order for it to cross at the x-axis, that means it couldn't have gone up any on the y. And in order for it to cross here, my x needed to be 0. Because I have to stay on here. I need to stay on the x-axis to cross it, and I need to stay on the y-axis to cross it. So that would be to do how to do 6b. Okay, does that make sense, y'all? Let's do 7b. I don't know why it circled.